DJ and PK brought to you in part by America First Credit Union. Get the official debit cards of the Utah Jazz, University of Utah Sports, Real Salt Lake, and more exclusively at America First Credit Union. We're joined once again by Riley Jensen, mental performance coach and college football expert. Riley, good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Good, Riley. How are you?
Doing well. I'm working with Rory right now.
You are?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
I'm telling him, don't miss those putts.
Did you see the social media where someone made the hole 6
Size
feet
of
across?
Grand Canyon.
And then it still rolls to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, that's funny. What would golf be if the holes were really 3 feet across? Riley, good morning.
Good morning, fellas. What's happening?
Well, normally, and we will talk to you about football, but we're going to start with you with golf this morning. And I know you work with athletes in a lot of sports. You've worked with multiple local schools, and so they all sponsor a wide range of sports. But it is a little different when you're talking to someone in a team sport and there's a defense. Golfers play an individual sport, and there is no defense, so it's just up to you to hit that putt or hit that drive when you're ready, and if it goes wrong, well, it's on you. So if you were working with Rory McIlroy, and he's made 496 putts of 4 feet or less in a row, and then he misses two right at the end of the U.S. Open and lose by one, how would you work with rebuilding somebody after that?
Well, unfortunately, I think Rory is actually pretty mentally tough. It's obviously a devastating turn of events for him. He's been really hard to get back to win a major, and I think that might have been part of what the pressure was. I think, in my experience working with golfers that are on the PGA Tour, on the LPGA Tour, and the Korn Ferry Tour, I think the thing that's a little bit different than just you and I going out and golfing and having a little bit of fun is there's just hundreds of thousands of dollars on each one of these putts. And if you're not in the right mindset, it can be really, really difficult to even make a 3-foot putt. And you could, on hole 16, and it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch. He was, he's been so good this year. I think if I read the stats correctly, he's led all of the PGA in putts under 3 feet, 4 feet for the whole year. And then he missed, obviously, two big ones. And everyone's going to call that a choke. But I think the thing that people don't understand about golf is you walk around a course for 4.5 hours, and the actual amount of time that you golf is between 5 and 6.5 minutes. And that's if you count, like, the pre-cut. So there's so much time to think, and there's so much time to pull yourself into the future, pull yourself into the past, and being present is really, really difficult in pressure situations. And so what I always try to do with golfers is I try and – he's hit a million of these putts. He knows how to putt. It's not he doesn't know how to drive, chip, putt, all those things. He's one of the best golfers that's ever been alive. Is you really try and simplify and occupy the brain with one or two simple things, such as line and pace, right? Instead of the 25 to 100 things that have to go right to hit a putt. One or two things so that your mind has enough to munch on, and then you let your body go into automatic mode instead of overthinking mode. And clearly, I can't remember now. I'm getting – this is my CTE from when I played. 16th to the 18th, one of them looked real wonky to me. The other one looked normal. It was just a miss. I know that he's had some things.
Riley, you're really breaking up. We can't follow it here, so we're gonna have Jake give you a call back, see if we can get a better connection here.
I'm listening to the Golf Channel driving in this morning, and they're interviewing Brad Faxon, and they ask him about, well, you just forget about it and move on. He said, I don't think you forget about it. I think you remember it. You don't let it paralyze you and haunt you, but you remember what you did, what you didn't do, and how you can improve upon it.
Sounds like the Celtics postgame when Jaylen Brown was talking about we didn't skip steps. We had a lot of hard losses, but they made us tougher, and this is why we're sitting here right now. So you can't just flush it away.
But the difference here is Rory McIlroy should be in the prime. Those guys built. They were young.
They were young, and they were going through a natural part of the process.
Right. And so with Riley, my thought is, do you remember this stuff or do you flush it away? Because I think you remember it and try to build upon it. But maybe not.
Is that true, Riley?
I think there's benefit in both. I think in dwelling too long on the past, that can be really, really difficult and problematic. I think you quickly, and maybe you spend a couple of days assessing what happened, and then you move back into the present moment. If you spend too much time in the past, no amount of guilt, no amount of anger, no amount of shame can ever change the past. And if you spend too much in the future, no amount of anxiety or stress or nerve can change the future. This is the key, and I know it's real kitschy, and I know it's the real key phrase lately to really focus on the moment. But you really got to get into the present moment and really just be where your feet are. The trick is teaching people tools how to do that, teaching people tools how to stay in the moment, and how to be just a little bit more dialed in to that present moment. But yeah, he's going to have to spend some time going through what happened, but you can't dwell on it. Things like this situation, you have to realize you made a mistake. It's not that you are a mistake, you made a mistake. And that's where you have to differentiate, and look, all the great ones have gone through some sort of difficulty, some sort of adversity in their career. It's what they do after a moment like this that makes them heroes.
See, actually, though, in my literal case, my parents told me I was a mistake.
Stunned silence. You floored him.
I wasn't a mistake. I was a surprise. As a miracle.
There you go.
Because she went through some real difficult stuff about 7-8 years prior, involving a pregnancy in which there was a death and all that stuff, and was said you couldn't. That would be it.
You're not going to have another kid.
And then here I come.
Here comes Patrick Kinahan.
And because I was a month early, I was in the hospital for a week, and I was brought home. Of all the days to be brought home, December 24th, and placed under the Christmas tree. I had no chance to live up to that, and I haven't.
Oh, man.
They might as well have built a friggin' manger. And I have been trying to live up to that forever and have failed. Have not been able to do that.
Running against my better judgment, I have a football question for you. Not that I think you can't answer it. I just don't know if we'll hear you when you do answer it.
I'm sorry.
No,
sorry.
It's fine.
I'll answer it if that's the case.
Hey, PK.
Yeah.
PK, real quick. I'm 18 years older than my youngest brother. My brother's 15 years older. And they always asked my mom, they said, "Are you going to tell him that he was a mistake?" And she said, "Well, I told the other two they were. What's the big deal?"
Get over it.
Get over it. It's not that big a deal. It's about what you do when you get drafted. It's about what you do when you get picked.
Or in this case, born.
Right. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's about what you do with your opportunity.
My question is about Cougar football. There are many years that we go into the season, we know the Cougar quarterback is, and he's built up and he's hyped up, and sometimes they live up to the hype, and sometimes they don't. And certainly they've had two quarterbacks who gave them 3 really good years as the starter there, and that was great. And now this year, There's a JC guy who was 0-4 last year. There's a guy coming in who has won a Big 12 title but hasn't played in a while and is coming off a major shoulder injury. There's a transfer from Utah State. There's another young guy. Any of them might pull it off, but it's not obvious who the person is going to be. And there's the argument that they're going to have a better team around them. So that's going to be different than last year. So it's apples and oranges comparing the two. What's your level of confidence? Where do you see this going? Who do you believe in? How do you think this plays out?
Well, I remember the late and great Lamell Edwards used to say when there's a quarterback controversy, it's usually because you don't have a quarterback.
Oops.
But here's the two things that I think are really, really important to understand. I do think that the offensive line will be much improved. I think that'll take a little bit of pressure off the quarterback. It has to improve for the quarterback to play better. And I'm just really interested to see, I thought the late move after spring ball, bringing in the Utah State transfer,
McKay Hillstead
is a really interesting move because I don't think you typically see that move unless you don't feel real great about spring ball. Now, I'm not going on inside sources. I'm just trying to read the tea leaves here, but I've got a feeling that they don't feel great about what was going on in spring ball, and so they needed to make another move. I would be very surprised that if not at the first of the season, that sometime through the season, McKay Hillstead is the guy at BYU. Now, McKay is an incredible athlete. He's very fun to watch. When you see him on the field, he's very small. Like, you're going to look at him and go, wow, that's a small quarterback. Now, he's going to excite you with some plays. He's going to excite you with his arm. He's going to excite you with his moxie. But my question still remains with McKay is, can he play and make it through without getting hurt? That's going to be really, really important. Now, if this offensive line is improved like I think they will be, maybe that question becomes moot because he's going to be protected and he's going to be able to make plays with both his feet and his hands, or with his arm. But it's going to be interesting that quarterback position is going to be super vital to what happens in the Big 12 this fall for BYU.
Do you think someone who comes into the program officially not till training camp, and I realize they got summer workouts informally on their own before then, but can someone who just arrives as far as the team concept, the practice in August, be the starting quarterback in game one?
I think that's a tall ask. I definitely think that's hard. That's why when I'm saying that I think he'll be the man at BYU, it's because I think it'll take a little bit of time. The one advantage that he has is, he's a local kid. There's definitely going to be players on the team that he's played with that are going to be able to attest to what a good player he is, what a good person he is, what type of a leader he is. But it does take time. You still have to learn the playbook. You still have to learn the timing of a different offense. And as much as we, are trying to plug and play with quarterbacks, there's still just so much timing that goes into the passing game. Such as a 10-yard speed out. If your foot isn't hitting the ground and letting you go the ball at the right time, if you're throwing a seam route at 16 to 18 yards and you're not getting rid of the ball at the right time, it can be very difficult. And every receiver runs those routes a little bit different. So there is some timing that needs to take place this summer and during fall camp for him to be able to come in and play effectively that the other quarterbacks will have an advantage on.
When you talk about the O-line being better and about that impacting the quarterback, is that going to impact the run game as well? Because pass blocking and run blocking, two different things. Some groups are good at both, but some groups are only good at one or the other.
Well, to me, it's always important that they have an identity. So, back in the Lamell Edwards days, it was a team that could really pass block well, and then they would they would set up the run with the pass. And then there were some other teams when Harvey Unger was playing where it was a real run-heavy team, and they would set up the pass with the run. I think, in my opinion, you got to make sure you have an identity and that you're good at one or the other, and then you can always set up the other and give your offensive line a good opportunity to play really, really good football if they have an identity and they're good at one of them. Now, there's a lot of jockeying going on. There's a lot of new linemen that are brought in. There was a lot of new linemen brought in last year. A whole bunch of guys battling for a lot of positions. But what will be interesting, and I think if you're a BYU fan, what you have to watch closely is you have to watch the right guard position. See who wins that right guard position, because I think that's the one that's the most open for the newest guy to make an impact. And I know they've been moving a lot of different offensive linemen around in different places, but if you look at that right guard position, see who he is, see if he's making good plays, that could be the real key. That could be the keystone to that offensive line this year.
Riley, we'll leave it right there. We appreciate your time as always. Thanks for joining us. We will talk to you again. You're the man.
Love you guys. Thanks.
Riley Jensen join us here on The Zone. DJ and PK, when you come back, you missed a lot in the show, including a lot about the championship, and we will get to that. The Celtics win it all. Next, stay with us. We'll get you up to speed right here on The Zone.